Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and had a great week and having a great start to your new weekend out there so far. Here to break down a few things in this morning's video. And the first thing we'll focus in on is next week's storm system. This has my attention a bit. Is this going to be a major storm system? We're not quite sure. We're still trying to figure this one out, but this could bring a lot of rain for a lot of people. It could bring snow. Even a winter storm side to this is quite possible. And yes, it could bring a little bit of a severe weather risk, even though I think as of now that is going to stay relatively low. But I do think we could have some severe weather out of this. But this is going to be our big focus right at the beginning of this video. We'll break down, compare model guidance. We'll, talk about what could make it go one way, what could make it go the other. And then we'll break down today's weather also. Now, there is a couple pieces of energy we need to watch over the weekend into early next week. Out ahead of this system, we're going to break down. But we'll cover all that as we're breaking down this storm system next week. I do have some cats in here with me. If you look directly behind my head, no, other way right there, that is Rocket. And then we actually have a new cat. We have 5 cats now. It's quite ridiculous. So I guess I am becoming a cat guy. Now, I've always been a cat guy, but I guess I'm one of those just people that just has a million cats. A business shut down and they had kind of a cat around their business that they were basically just going to have to get rid of if nobody took it. And of course, we took the cat. Her name is Chloe. She's a fur ball and she's chilling right beside me to my right. And I don't know how she's going to act in this video. So you might see a cat with the zoomies behind my back. I'm not quite sure. Rocket's always as cool as a cucumber back there. He always just chills out. But if you see any movement, it's just cats. But enough about cats. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And let's get rocking and rolling. So we're going to start this off with a bang. Here it is. You see the blue, you see the green. So yes, this does show snow in some of the same areas that have seen it already this winter. We're seeing snow in the Ohio Valley. And you're probably asking, well, when is this for? This is for next Wednesday, and this is not a forecast, but we're just kind of going to start it off by showing you the potential with this. This is the latest GFS run. So this is kind of the look this storm system could potentially have. We call it an antifront, and that's not a forecast of what this will exactly be, I would say, but it's going to resemble something like that. An antifront is basically like rain cold air chasing rain, cold air chasing moisture. Cold air catches up with that rain, with that moisture. Of course, you can get snow. It's basically a front driven system. So this is what it could potentially look like. But let's break down the evolution of this, and we're going to back this up, obviously, to right now. So this is the latest GFS. So today, we'll talk about today's weather and today's portion of the forecast. But we'll keep going here, and we'll take it all the way to tomorrow morning. Still got the lake effect snows up here. And we're going to get a clipper that'll fly through the northeast throughout this weekend, really moving into the northeast, I would say, more so into Saturday night and Sunday. And yes, this could bring a couple inches of snow, even a little bit of snow all the way to Boston. We'll break that down more kind of later in the video and just throughout the weekend and see if this uptrends. I know a lot of my friends up here in the Northeast are watching this one. But that'll move out. That's not going to be a big deal regardless. And then you start to get some southern stream action, a little bit of northern stream action coming up on your screen. I know a lot of people are probably wondering in the central U.S., western U.S., well, what is this system going to do for us? Well, it's not going to do much of anything. That's why I don't even have you guys up, because this is a trough really digging down to the east. Therefore, most of the energy is going to come together for the eastern half of the country. That's where I really just got the eastern half of the country up, because there's not a whole lot, it looks like, that's going to happen for the central U.S. with this system. So this kind of begins to come together. We get into Monday. This is kind of the first push of moisture. Not, I would say, that the main thing we are watching. This is Monday morning, December the 9th. Not a lot of cold air. Brief flex in the ridge. This will actually introduce just good old-fashioned rain across most of the eastern U.S. So rain will be falling on some of this snowpack, like up here in the Great Lakes region. I mean, it might hang on to just enough cold air in the UP of Michigan where this is all snow. And then it'll encounter a little bit of cold air, and this could switch it to a more kind of winter scenario up here in the Northeast as we're getting into Monday evening, a little bit of a high pressure up here funneling in some cold air down into New England. Could get a little bit of a wintry mix, and then this system heads on out. And then the next thing we watch is a trough that's going to dig down, cold front associated with it. Some cold air tries to chase, kind of catch up, chase this moisture, if you will, right into here. So the Midwest, this is around next Tuesday. So December the 10th, I know it says 11 right here, but this is OOZ Wednesday, which stands for around Tuesday evening. I know it's Zulu time. We'll get into that in a different day. But anyways, this is around Tuesday evening of next week. This is all rain all the way up to Cleveland, Buffalo. And then this continues, and the GFS says, hey, we could have a moderate-sized winter weather event from maybe the Midwest all the way through Indiana, all the way up into lower Michigan. It's all rain for most of Ohio except northwest Ohio. All rain down here for the southeast, the Appalachian Mountains. Check out the snow, though, falling as far south as northern Arkansas. We keep this going. It's basically a boundary. A dip in the jet stream, and we have, I'm just going to draw on this a little bit, we have multiple pieces of energy sort of riding through here. Low pressure here, and this is not exactly where they are, but I'm just kind of drawing it for example. And they kind of ride up through here as this trough continues to progress eastward. And then, of course, you got cold air on the cold side of this cold front. So you get this back off and you keep it going. All right, at this point, the rain's switching to snow around Wednesday morning in Ohio. Not exactly a forecast, but this is just comparing model guidance, right? Kentucky, you start to switch to all snow, and then check it out. You start to switch from rain to snow in the Cumberland Plateau and the Southern Alps, Tennessee, North Carolina. Turns into a sizable, a pretty decent event for areas of West Virginia. I've been struggling to talk this week. I have no idea, but I've just been learning just to roll with it. You guys have definitely understood. Not sure why I'm fumbling my words so much this week. I normally always do, but this week has been just a little bit extra. But forgive me for that. But the eastern U.S., this is just a big rain bomb. Just a lot of rain Wednesday afternoon. But there's cold air trying to chase and catch up with this moisture. So you got rain switching to snow for the western half of PA, for Buffalo, the western sections of New York. It's all snow at this point in Ohio, and we keep this going. And, this turns into a pretty quick-hitting, decent event for, the central apps. And look at this low pressure right here. And then I think this thing could really strengthen maybe somewhere up into the northeast, Atlantic Canada, where this takes on more of a negative tilt. We'll talk more on that here in a second. So we start to get into Thursday morning, rain switching to snow across the northeast. And then that's all she wrote. So moves in Tuesday. All right, we get into Tuesday night. Look at the snow across the Midwest areas of the Great Lakes region. We get into Wednesday. Look at that rain switching to snow across the Ohio Valley. And it looks like just a rain switching to snow kind of event with cold air to follow behind it. What about the Euro? What does it show? Saturday morning, here comes, and this looks pretty aggressive. For Southern Ontario, areas of Quebec, Toronto, I would watch. This clipper could pack a punch. 996 upper low up here. That's a pretty decent piece of northern stream energy that's going to dive down here. So this could drop a few to several inches of snow. This is Sunday morning. Look at the snow across northeast and New England. Even showing snow as far south as maybe New York City. Then it gets a little quiet for a couple days, really for a day. Ridge flexes. So this is all rain, just a big rain bomb across areas of the eastern U.S. Much needed rain for certain areas. It's going to be raining all the way up into southern Ontario for Monday. The Euro is much warmer, shows rain all the way up to the UP of Michigan, rain across areas of the northeast, and then it hits a little bit of cold air Monday evening, and that rain begins to switch to snow for the interior New England northeast area. And then a lot more moisture begins to build in the southeast, and you can see that 540 line here, so you know that cold front's coming. Cold air's already moved back over the Great Lakes region. And then here it comes. We got a boundary setting up right here. We got rain out ahead of it. Not a lot of moisture on the cold side. But if you watch right here at the last second, that cold air begins to catch up with the moisture. So rain begins to switch to snow in the southern and central Alps, from North Carolina, Tennessee, up to Virginia, up to West Virginia. But no, on this specific model run, I don't see any snow kind of outside the mountainous regions. But this does turn into more of a significant event into Wednesday evening. And look, it does get the lake effect snows going again. Aggressive once again. And look, you got a low pressure cruising up the I-95 corridor into southern New England. All rain for the Delmarva, southern New England, even up to Maine. But look at the cold air catching up with the moisture and abruptly switches the rain to snow in some of these areas. And we have to watch for a low pressure that could strengthen and get negatively tilted the energy here. This would tap into more cold air, and this could turn to a more significant storm system for the Northeast. And then look at the lake effect snows ongoing again into Thursday morning. So the timing of this system looks like Tuesday evening into Wednesday into Thursday. But that turns into some very heavy snow. So, we look at the Canadian model, all right? And we'll kind of move through this fast a little bit quicker. Okay, there's that clipper up here into Sunday for the Northeast. And then here comes a lot of rain for everybody across the eastern U.S. for the cold air settles back in. And then here comes the cold air catching up. And then it catches up quick enough to where it switches it to a little bit of snow for areas of eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee. And then the system begins to strengthen. Precipitation begins to get a little bit heavier. Rain switches to snow across the Northeast, areas of the interior mid-Atlantic. And then, it moves on. So most of that looks the same, right? And even looking at the icon, we'll kind of zoom through this pretty fast. The icon looks a little bit different with this system. Icon, not as strong with the storm system, but it brings some energy down with the trough here of low pressure. And this is Wednesday morning. It wants to get kind of a light snow event all the way down to the mid-south. This is like Wednesday afternoon next week. Brings light snow all the way down to the Cumberland Plateau, the Tennessee Valley, basically the Ohio Valley all the way down to, even sections of like northern Alabama, then brings a little bit of light snow all the way down to the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. So that would, evolve a lot different, right? And then the low pressure tries to develop here at the last second in the Thursday morning, I would say, and, could do something funky then. But the one thing I would watch for this system, and I'm really watching it anywhere, but for areas a little bit further south, what has my attention is the GFS keeps going back and forth. I want to show you the 18Z. And the 18Z the day before did this too. This is a possibility. Watch what this shows. This shows, the GFS from last night shows a more strengthening storm system early on. A slower, more amplified storm system. Cold air catches up with it, and this brings a more significant snow event for areas as far south as Tennessee. Even brings a little bit of snow into northern Alabama, North Georgia. And this would be a more significant snow event for up into Kentucky, the Ohio Valley. And then, of course, this would work its way eastward and become more of a significant snow event for West Virginia, up to Pennsylvania, up to New York. And that is something we watch for. Rain switching to heavy snow. So this kind of keeps showing up, and I really want to see if this shows up today. As we make our way through the next several runs, is this going to show up over and over again? Is it going to keep showing up, or are we going to get some type of agreement one way or the other? One thing we are the most confident is this is going to bring rain. And, you look down here, this is between now and the next 7 days from New Orleans up to Atlanta, all the way to Columbia, almost to Charlotte. We could get anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 inches of rain in this area. So this is going to bring rain that's gotten kind of dry, and with that, dry Arctic air mass, it can get very dry very quick, kind of like in the summer where you don't get rain for a month. It gets dry fast because it's so hot. Florida's not going to get a whole lot from this because most of the energy is going to trail off to the north. But, there's going to be an opportunity for a lot of moisture for the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast too, but some of this could fall in the form of snow. And some of this is picking up on the energy ahead of this system. But the reason I haven't talked much on the central U.S. is because the middle of the country looks pretty dry over the next several days, so it tells me not a whole lot of action. Now, it could get a little bit more active out west, and we'll speak on that when we need to. But there's already at day 3, let's see if there's anything at day 2. No, not really. Day 3, okay, there's already a slight risk of flash flooding up. So, today's day 1, tomorrow's day 2, Saturday, Sunday. So this is for Sunday. If you go on and look at day 4, this is for Monday. Already a slight risk of flash flooding, which means there's a 15% risk, at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles of any given location in this yellow area. So already kind of honking the horn at a little bit of a flooding risk. And then we go into day 5. It's getting into Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, Tuesday. Slight risk stretching from the Gulf Coast all the way up to Atlanta, just north. So chance for a lot of rain upcoming. Now, what about that snow risk? This is where the confidence begins to drop off for obvious reasons. GFS ensemble, this is in 24-hour periods, so you're going to see snow show up on your map, then disappears because it's in 24-hour periods. There's the signal for that clipper this weekend for the Northeast. We'll watch that. It could bring some snow for areas that, typically see snow this time of year. Nothing super uncommon about that. And then we start to see a little bit of a signal show up here. This is getting into Tuesday afternoon, and then it increases across areas of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, all the way into southern Ontario. And then there's a little signal down here in Tennessee, not very high though, a little bit of a signal for West Virginia, northern Kentucky. It increases a little bit more for northern Ohio, and then it increases for areas of the interior, Northeast, and New England area. But for the most part, it's not a very loud signal. It's the loudest the further north you get, obviously. So you look at the Euro ensemble, same thing, 24-hour periods. That clipper moves out, and then here comes the signal as we are getting into Wednesday, and it's not as far south, and it's just not as loud anywhere except for the interior Northeast area and for the Great Lakes region with a cold shot of air going through it. So, the ensemble guidance is still kind of just scattered, smothered. It's not loud one way or the other, and there's not a very loud signal for the south. So we'll just continue to watch this. I think that we could flip back and forth. I will tell you, a lot of times we trend more aggressive with the snow in these events for whatever reason with anti-front type setups. And if you look at the energy with this, okay, all this up here, let's draw on this. This is northern stream energy. This is southern stream energy. You're going to get some sort of connection, somewhere into here, okay? But let's keep this in motion. This is the GFS. This is for Tuesday evening. You're going to notice that this thing is tilting like this. That tells us it's positively tilted. It means it's a weaker storm system. This thing is going to gradually tilt like that, then like this, as it progresses eastward. So we keep this going. Takes on more of a neutral tilt right there. That means it's trying to strengthen. And then it could nudge to a negative tilt right into here. This is where it could be at its strongest midway next week. And there's a little bit of a connection between the northern stream and the southern stream right here. A little bit of what we call a phasing setup. But still, it's not on the latest model guidance some huge major storm system. It could trend that way. If there's more of a connection early on right into here, then it could become more aggressive. And, the Euro doesn't look a whole lot different. I mean, you got a little bit of that positive tilt right there. All right. Keep this going. Takes on more of that neutral tilt. So it goes positive to neutral, which means neutral is just going straight down. And then begins to kind of bend to the right, or my right. So sign of a strengthening storm system, a little bit of a phasing of this storm, and it could become more of a significant deal. We just got to watch it. We're still trying to figure this one out. One thing I will tell you is this is going to bring another shot of cold air. And this blue is lower pressure. It's just a trough of low pressure. This is going to dig down. And just a classic dip in the jet, storm system, storm signal. And then cold air associated with this big blob of blue, which is lower pressure. You're going to get a cold front with this. But you notice this moves in, brings a shot of cold air next week again. And then it moves out, and then a ridge takes over in the longer range, and a lot of model guidance points to this. So I do think we're going to have a warming trend for the middle portion of December, and then we get beyond day 10. What happens after that, who knows? Anybody's guess. And here's another shot at this. Here's another look at the shot of this cold air with temperatures compared to average, and above average temperatures in the eastern U.S. This is getting into Tuesday evening. We're getting into Wednesday, and then look, below average temperatures take over. I don't think this is going to be comparable to what we've seen this week and what we're seeing right now across the eastern U.S., but it will be a shot of cold air. The green, that's anywhere from 9, 10 to 15 degrees below average for this time of the year. So a pretty stout shot of cold air. It's just very fleeting. It doesn't hang around too long. By the time we're in the next weekend, we should begin to moderate temperature-wise. So that's all I got on the breakdown of the storm system and the shot of cold air. But let's talk about what's going on right now. We do continue to have lake effect snow energy. In fact, they're reporting a little bit of snow around the D.C. area, the Baltimore. Let me know what you're seeing here. I think that is hitting the ground. So What's wild is this is connected to the lakes, and this is kind of drifting all the way down to portions of like the mid-Atlantic, but closer to the coastal regions of the mid-Atlantic. And then we got this clipper that's already making its way through. This is kind of enhancing the snowfall across the UP of Michigan. Got a little bit of moisture trying to bubble up down here in Texas, but not really a big deal at all. But if we look at watches, warnings, and advisories, we have these winter weather advisories up here for northeast Minnesota, the UP of Michigan. No winter storm warnings right now. And then we do have winter storm warnings up for Watertown and just north of Syracuse. If we just get just east, just southeast of this area, we got winter weather advisories. We have this special weather statement right here. This is probably for some sort of burst of heavy snow. Yeah. And then in this greenish color, that's lake effect snow warnings for Erie, winter weather advisories for west central sections of Pennsylvania down to the Allegheny Mountains. We have cold weather advisories, which has been something new issued by the National Weather Service. And then we got, at least more frequently, and then we got special weather statements down here in Georgia. Cold weather advisories down for the low country of South Carolina. We got freeze warnings and cold weather advisories down for the deep south, the Gulf coastline, where it is very cold. Speaking of the cold air, well, hold on. Let's see. Do we have any risk of any sort of flash flooding today? We do not. I don't want to get out of the habit of showing you guys this. Thunderstorms, there's a possibility for some thunderstorms down here in southern Texas, southwest Texas, and through southern New Mexico and southeast Arizona. But speaking of temperatures across the southeast, I really just want to zoom into this area because this is very impressive for this time of the year. It really is. So obviously it's cold in a lot of places across the south, deep into the 20s. But what's impressive to me is this cold air across the Cumberland Plateau into southern Kentucky. I was looking at another site. There is single digits right now in areas of the Cumberland Plateau into southern Kentucky. I mean, there's probably single digits elsewhere too outside these regions, but this is pretty far south. And in early December, we're into the teens down here in like Huntsville, mid to low teens in Nashville. It is cold. I mean, it's pretty wild how cold it is for this time of the year. So I just want to show you that, but let's show you the rest of the southeast as far as what's going to fall from the sky today. Really nothing. Cold front will continue to surge through Florida. This could bring some showers. This cold front's getting all the way down, deep down into the Gulf of Mexico. So some buoys out there and some seagulls might get a little cold. But, we make our way all the way into Saturday morning and, just another chilly day, not near as cold as today, but not expecting much for Saturday either. Just scooting a little bit ahead of today. But the Northeast, the HRR model, the HRR model, not doing the best at showing what's actually falling. But we're going to continue to just see snow showers across the Northeast today. But I do think an enhancement of snow will get going across Ontario, even Erie, but especially Ontario. We're probably going to have a lake effect snow band that sets up probably between Watertown and Syracuse. And we could get another one back here into Erie County and just north. And this could dump another several inches of snow this evening into the overnight hours all the way into tomorrow. And then this clipper moves through. And this is going to bring some snow from Cleveland points east, I would say, all the way into western PA. And this is getting all the way into late tomorrow night. And we're getting some moderate snow trying to get all the way over to New York City. And this is as far out as the HRR model will go. But this is trying to bring a little bit of snow late tomorrow all the way down to Philadelphia, New York City. It's just, we'll take another look at this in our next video, but we'll see if that actually happens. This clipper could overachieve. I could see clippers like this overachieving, but between now and the next 48 hours, a couple inches of snow in northern New Hampshire, same thing in Vermont and these higher elevated regions, maybe an inch or so in northern Maine. But we go and we look at New York. Like I said, between Watertown and Syracuse, this will be the hot spot today of snow. We could get in this area, what is that? That's over a foot of snow. Syracuse itself, maybe about 4 inches. Same thing in Watertown, Rochester, an inch or so. Buffalo, maybe 2 inches of snow. Jamestown, 6 to 7, but just north of Jamestown, they're going for, the potential for maybe over a foot of snow. Binghamton could get an inch or two of snow, and we'll look at a little bit south to PA and State College, maybe 1/10 of an inch of snow. Erie, another 10 to 11 inches of snow. Good gracious, you guys just keep getting leveled. St. Mary's, an inch or two of snow. Pittsburgh, maybe a tenth of an inch of snow. A couple inches are possible down to the Allegheny Mountains. We'll see if that happens. And then we'll take it down into these regions. West Virginia a little bit. I wouldn't expect much, though. And then we look at Ohio and Cleveland, maybe a half an inch of snow. So if we look over to the south central U.S., we're going to get the risk of some thunderstorms across South Texas, but this will mostly kind of fall in the form of just some rain showers. And I would say if we get any thunderstorms, it'll happen overnight in southern West Virginia. Where did that come from? Southern New Mexico. And look at the rain in the southern half of sections of Texas. And, just if anything, you could probably use the rain down here. But as we're starting to get into Saturday, this rain will start to move a little bit further north. But the weather continues to be pretty quiet elsewhere. The north central U.S. will continue to get this energy moving across the Great Lakes region this morning. This will continue to fire up some of these lake effect snow bands, not near as aggressive. But what we really watch for is as we are getting into tomorrow morning, this clipper dives in from Canada. And this could bring a shot at snow tomorrow morning, a festive morning. And it actually might switch to some rain if you live in the western half of the UP of Michigan. We'll see if that actually happens. So that'll be interesting. But, snowfall between now and the next 24 hours, several more inches of snow is possible in the eastern UP. The central UP, it just depends, where you live. Maybe a couple inches, maybe hardly nothing. Houghton, 4 to 5 inches of snow. We move down to lower Michigan and Traverse City, 2 inches of snow. Grayling, a few inches of snow. And down here and say Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Lansing, a few tenths of an inch of snow. Not a big deal. But the western U.S. continues to be very, very quiet. And I have said that over and over again for about 2 weeks straight. We're going to get a little rain. It does move into northwest Washington State. And that will set the beginning stages of a more significant storm system that will move into the northwest as we are starting to get into our Saturday. But still just nothing that's prompting a ton of warnings or anything like that. Temperatures today well below freezing across the northeast, the Great Lakes region. And locked into the 30s as far south as northern Alabama, 40s in the Carolinas and Georgia. It'll stay warm in South Florida ahead of the front, but you get on the cold side of it where it clears. It'll be a chilly day in North Florida. I mean, it might be locked into the 40s in the Panhandle of Florida. Chilly day in Texas, the South Central U.S., the Mississippi Valley, 30s and 40s. And then we look out west, it's still pretty warm. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful Friday, and I'll talk to you again soon.